Generation of Swine. Honors Thompson, they called him Deepthroat. You don't go out and kick a mad dog. If you have a mad dog with rabies, you take a gun and shoot him. Pat Robertson, TV evangelist. The market kept rising last week. Even preachers felt bullish. And there was talk on the street about the shooting and butchering of animals. Beef prices plunged, insurance rates soared, and Pat Robertson went on national TV to make a personal appeal for the head of Muammar Gaddafi. It was another bad week for the colonel. He had already been hit once, very hard, by the high-tech flyboys from the U.S. 6th Fleet. And now he was going to be hit again, with big rockets and many deaths in the ranks of his own people. And he was being shown on American TV as a cheap Mussolini clone, wearing old Nazi headgear and a ragged pink babushka. The White House was beating him like a mule, he said, for the sins of the whole Arab world. Which was probably true. A cruel mix of realpolitik reasons. But the colonel was not calm in his efforts to explain his position. A loosely phrased AP dispatch out of Tripoli, quoting him to the effect that his finely honed Libyan counterattack plan would soon destroy the whole of southern Europe without any discrimination, and that Libya rejects unjust and insolent military threats which do not scare us at all. He also said Libya would call on Warsaw Pact forces to help defend his country against a U.S. attack. But nobody believed him, and a man named Georgy Arbatov from the Soviet Central Committee in Moscow denounced the whole thing as a pile of bad noise and said Russia wanted no part of any haggling between Tripoli and Washington. Pat Robertson, and the genial host of massively popular cable TV, is the genial host of a massively popular cable TV show called The 700 Club, the flagship production of the Christian Broadcasting Network. It is a folksy news talk show with a distinctively religious bent. The people at CBN say it reaches 50 states every night of the week. Robertson is a very hot property. The 700 Club reaches more people than Jimmy Swaggart and Jerry Falwell combined. In some places, he is more popular than Johnny Carson. He works out of Roanoke, not far from Lyndon LaRouche. But nobody knows where he lives. He is a loose and friendly man, like Andy Rooney. People like Pat Robertson. He is running for president this year, along with almost everybody else in politics except Ronald Reagan, and he is taking himself very seriously. At midnight on Friday, the USS Coral Sea was still 400 miles off Tripoli, and the White House was still laying low on the Libya question when Robertson jumped all the other candidates by going on his own TV show to warn against the folly of taking any wimpish halfway position vis-a-vis Gaddafi. There is an old saying, he said, that you don't strike the king unless you kill him. It was Pat's way of saying that he was tired of the old ways, and it was time to croak the colonel. Indeed, there is an old adage in the veterinary world that says there are only two ways to deal with a rabid animal. Either capture it and cut off its head, or drag it out behind the garage and put the muzzle against its medulla. Robertson's jump was not lost on the White House, where the only response was no comment. Donald Reagan said nothing, and even Patrick Buchanan was mute. It was one of those days in the West Wing when some people yearned for the good old days, when a thing like this could be easily solved by a quick call to Gordon Liddy in his office across the avenue. But that was another time. Gordon is gone now. He went off to prison and pumped iron for 3 years, and gave them nothing but his name and his social security number. All the others confessed, or went belly up from the pressure. Many were called, and in the end they were all chosen. Except Gordon. He is still the only real missing link in the Watergate story. The late-night underground voice that Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein called Deepthroat. Hal Holbrook played the role in the movie, and it made perfect sense at the time. He talked like John Dean and looked like Leonard Garment, Nixon's longtime personal counsel. Nobody doubted that Carl and Bob had tapped a main source. Deepthroat was the tap root, the man with the final credentials. His motives were never made clear, except in some giddy gray realm of morality and the rape of his personal ethics. In the legend, he is a figure like Socrates, a man of long reach and wisdom, too smart for his work and obviously not like the others. He works for the president, but his hero is William Burroughs, and his knuckles have grown together like crushed roots. When he comes down to Washington, from New York, where he lives, he has his own room in the south wing of the White House, with a fireplace and a Smith & Barnes piano. He walks tall like Duke Zeibert's, and also at 14th and U, where he is loved by the whores and the street people. They call him Gordon, but the name on the federal firearms license that he carries, in the black pigskin wallet, was G. Liddy. And his name down at 15th and L in the newsroom was Deepthroat. Some people knew, but not many. Scott Armstrong knew, along with Oscar Acosta and a senior stewardess for one of the airlines. He even kept it from Frank Mankiewicz, who knew almost everything else. It was one of those things that seemed better at the time not to talk about. April 14th, 1986.